FRK 3-to-1, earnings per share. Today we're looking at the rights issue at less than fair value. What you need for today's lecture. Firstly, keep your notes at hand. Refer to paragraph 8.3 at page number 7. You can also get out your class example number 2. And if you have your PowerPoint, you can also make that available. Rights issue at less than fair value. Typically what happens in a case like this is that the company needs money or want to raise some more capital, and therefore they want to entice their shareholders to invest more money. And one of the ways to do that is to make what we call a rights issue, where they issue shares to the current shareholders at a value that is lower than the current market price or fair value of those shares. Typically, if you have 1,000 shares, they would say for every 2 shares that you hold, you can purchase another 1 share at a lower value. The main thing here is that the new issue is at lower than the current fair value, and that makes that there is a bonus element included in this purchase of shares. The steps you want to follow to calculate the weighted average number of shares, the WANOS, theoretically fair value per share. So what you're going to do is take the number of shares currently in issue, before this new issue, at the current fair value. Add to this amount the number of shares that you are going to issue at the issue price. After you've added it together, you will divide this by the total of the number of shares that were in issue before plus the new issue. Let's have a look at the example. Turn to class example number 2, rights issue at less than fair value. Let's just go through the information and then we can do the exercise. On 1 September 20.8, the company issued ordinary shares at R1.50 each, being an issue of 1 share for every 2 ordinary shares previously held. The fair value of these ordinary shares amounted to R2.50 on 31 August 20.8. So the old shares had a fair value of R2.50 and the new issue is at R1.50, much lower than the fair value. And then we have the number of shares that is in issue at the beginning of 20.7 and 20.8. Again, as I said previously, this is at the beginning of. So you must make sure that you look at what dates are given to you. In this case, the earnings are also given to you, and we tell you what is the year end of the company. So you must now go and calculate the earnings per share for the years in the 31 December 20.7 and 20.8 as it would appear in the statement of comprehensive income or statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income. Let us turn to the solution, class example 2. If you look at the bottom, the first thing we want to calculate is the weighted average number of ordinary shares. Now the shares issued were the 600,000 shares for 20.7, 20.8 and also the total is 600,000. Now we want to calculate that portion that I've highlighted there as well as the bonus element. So how do we do that? The first step was, as we saw, theoretical fair value. And the first part of that calculation is to calculate, there in the yellow, to calculate the current number of shares in issue, 600,000, at their current fair value of R2.50. We add to that the 300,000 shares that are newly issued at R1.50. And now if you go down below here, those two answers is 1.5 million plus 450,000. This is divided by the old number of shares plus the new number of shares issued, which then gives you 900,000 shares in issue after we've issued the bonus. Now this will now give us the theoretical fair value, which in this specific case is a 0.1667 per share. Right. The next step that we have to do, we now go and determine what we call the number of shares issued at theoretical fair value. What we are saying is, how many shares would have been issued if we issued them at the theoretical fair value that we have just calculated? So we take the number of shares that we've now issued, times it by the issue price, and that gives us the total amount of money that we've received. Now we divide that by the theoretical fair value per share. So let us look at that in terms of our calculations. Firstly, the proceeds, as we said, how much did we get? We received 300,000 times 150, and that is 450,000. So then we have to divide that amount by the theoretical fair value. And as you can see there in step 3, actually, they gave that calculation there. So we received 450,000 rands for this issue. The theoretical fair value that we calculated here under number 1, the 2 rand 1,66667, divide that, and that gives us, we would have received shares at 207,692 shares at the issue at the theoretical fair value. That means that the difference between this amount that we've calculated, the 207,000 there, and the 300,000 that was actually issued, that difference is what we call the bonus element. And they were issued for free, for nothing, mahala. So therefore, we must now go and take these calculations and put them in our weighted average number of shares. So there we have it. We've calculated those weighted average number of shares, calculation number 2, at 207,692 shares. But remember, they were issued for value. And when we issue it for value, that is when we have to weight those shares on the time basis. So that is why this 69,231 is the calculation of the weighting. And let's just check there. If you look there right at the bottom again, sorry for jumping about so much, 207,962 times 4/12, that is the remaining period, gives us 69,231. So let's get back to that Wynos, and there you are. Now I've calculated the shares that were issued for fair value. And as we said, once you've weighted averaged them, there will be no restatement of previous years. But then we get to the bonus element, which we calculated in calculation number 3 below, the step number 3 below, the 92,308. These amounts must now be allocated, and they will be allocated straight to the current year and to the previous year, the prior year restatement. The full amount, we don't change that amount. You allocate the full amount in both of those columns. And that is why we have the 92,308 there. And now all that remains, we have to add those items together, and your 2008 Wynos will be 761,539, and the 2007 Wynos will be 692,308. Right, so as you can see there again, in that yellow highlight and the green, those that was issued for value will be weighted and not restated. Those that was issued as a bonus element will not be weighted, but they will be restated in the prior year. Once we've done that, let's just go and look at the earnings. In this question, we didn't adjust earnings or anything, so therefore what we gave you was what you use, and there you are. You can now calculate your basic earnings per share. There are the calculations, and there is your disclosure in your statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income. As you can see, there's also an alternative to this answer, but we suggest that you stick to the first option that we gave you. You can have a look at that if you want the alternative, but as I said, stick to what we've just shown you. Thank you. Good luck.